Hey Celtics Nation, here we go again, another big night on deck, and this one has a little extra heat to it. The Boston Celtics are back on the floor tonight, taking on the New York Knicks, and man, it already feels like one of those statement games, even though we're barely getting started this season. You can feel that buzz, that energy that comes with the first few weeks of basketball, when every game feels like it could set the tone for the months ahead. The Celtics had that tough one against Philly, a real heartbreaker. And now the question is simple. How do they bounce back? Do they come out flat? Or do they respond like the hungry team we know they can be? Let's start with the big man that everyone's talking about right now, Neemias Quetta. This dude came into the season with a big question mark hanging over his head. One decent preseason showing, flashes of potential, but nothing that really locked in a spot. Then opening night hits, and suddenly Quetta looks like he belongs. 17 points. 8 boards in just 25 minutes, 7 for 8 from the field, strong presence inside, active hands, energy on both ends. That's what we've been waiting to see. He didn't settle for those outside shots like he sometimes tried during Eurobasket. Just played his game and made things happen. So, tonight, the question is whether he can keep building on that. Can he show consistency, not just flashes? Because if he can bring that kind of production night after night, Boston's rotation starts to look a lot deeper than people thought. But let's not sugarcoat it. The defense needs to wake up. Last time out, Maxey and Edgecombe absolutely cooked. 74 points combined from 2 guards. That's unacceptable for a team that prides itself on defense. Now we get Jalen Brunson and the Knicks. And while Brunson doesn't have that lightning quick burst like Maxey, he's got something maybe even more dangerous. Patience. He's a surgeon out there, cutting up defenses one possession at a time, getting to his mid-range, forcing switches, manipulating defenders. The Celtics have to prove they can contain that style, that they can stay focused for 48 minutes. Because if they can't handle Brunson, then they've got bigger problems waiting down the line. And speaking of defense, all eyes are on Derek White. Everyone's been talking about how he was snubbed for all defensive honors last year, and he led all guards in blocked shots. That's not something you just brush off. But when you ask a guy like him to take on more offensive responsibility, that balance gets tricky. We've seen it before with players like Luka, LeBron. When you're carrying so much of the load offensively, it's hard to stay elite on the other end too. You can't spend every possession flying around screens, contesting jumpers, and still have the energy to lead an offense. So the question for Derek White tonight is whether he can manage both sides of the floor without burning out. The Celtics need his defense to be elite, but they also need him putting up shots, creating plays, and being aggressive. Now, let's talk bench. The rotation in that last game didn't exactly light things up. Xavier Tillman gave solid minutes, 16 minutes, a few buckets, some rebounds, decent hustle. But beyond that, not a lot of pop. Chris Boucher, for example, barely saw 16 minutes off the bench. I thought we might see him start alongside Brown, Pritchard, White, and Quetta, but instead he came in as a role guy and never really got into rhythm. Josh Minott had some moments in his 14 minutes, but if you combine him, Tillman, and Boucher, you're looking at 12 points total. That's not enough. If the starters are cold from 3, this bench has to inject some instant offense, some pace, some spark. The Celtics can't rely on the starters to carry everything every single night, not with the East being this deep. And yeah, let's talk about that three-point shooting. 11 for 43. That's just brutal. 25% from deep isn't going to cut it for a team that was supposed to embrace a faster, freer offensive identity this season. All offseason, the talk was about pace, running the floor, pushing the tempo, turning defense into fast break points. Mazzulla wanted them playing fast, and everyone bought in. At least, that's what we were told. But through 2 games, the numbers say otherwise. The Celtics are near the bottom of the league in pace, sitting somewhere around 24th or 25th, depending on the day. That's not what we were promised. And yeah, some of that falls on Jason Tatum. When he's on the floor, the game naturally slows down because he's so methodical in the half court. But if he's sitting and this team still looks sluggish, that's a problem. They've got the athletes, they've got the depth, they've got the spacing. There's no excuse not to push the ball. Tonight against New York, that has to change. The Knicks are a grinded-out team. They're physical, they rebound well, and they're disciplined. You're not going to beat them in a half-court slog. You've got to make it a track meet. Run them out of the gym, force mismatches, get easy buckets before their defense sets up. That's how you flip the momentum. The Knicks might be favored slightly, especially if Karl-Anthony Towns ends up playing, but whether he's in or not, Boston's best chance is to play fast and unpredictable. You don't want to get into a slow, bruising game against guys like Brunson and OG Anunoby. You want chaos, speed, and open floor action. And about Karl-Anthony Towns, he's the X factor. Word is he's dealing with a quad strain, listed as questionable, and honestly, it might be smart for New York to rest him. But if he plays, that's a real test for Quetta. Embiid in the opener wasn't moving well, so Quetta got to battle a slower version of the MVP. Towns is a completely different challenge. He stretches the floor, he forces big men to move laterally, to rotate quickly, to defend the perimeter. That's a whole different beast. If Quetta can hold his ground there, that's going to say a lot about his growth. If not, Boston's help defense better be on point, because Towns can kill you from three or take you off the dribble. And then there's the shooting rhythm. Boston's offense looked disconnected last game. Too many rush threes, not enough ball movement. When the shots weren't falling, you could see the frustration build. That's where leadership has to step in. Guys like Jaylen Brown and Derek White have to steady the group, get everyone back into their sets, make sure they're generating good looks instead of forcing tough ones. They're talented enough to create high-percentage shots, but right now, it's like they're pressing, trying too hard to prove this new run-and-gun identity without actually running good offense. It's not all doom and gloom, though. There were real flashes of what this team can become. The third quarter against the Sixers was some of the best defense we've seen in a while. Rotations crisp, communication solid, transition buckets flowing. That's the blueprint. That's what Boston needs to channel tonight from the jump. The East is brutal this season. You can't afford to give away winnable games. Every missed layup, every lazy defensive possession, it all adds up. The margin for error isn't what it used to be, not with the roster changes and the injuries around the league. If you drop a game you should have won, you got to steal one later against a top contender, and those don't come easy. So yeah, this Knicks game feels bigger than it probably should. It's not just about the win or the loss. It's about the message. Is this team ready to take that next step? Can they execute under pressure? Can they rediscover that Boston identity of toughness, teamwork, and pace? We're going to find out tonight. Because the Celtics have the pieces, the talent's there. What we're waiting to see is if the chemistry, the focus, and the urgency can match it. And while the focus tonight is all about the Knicks in a matchup on the floor, you can't ignore the wild week the NBA just had off of it. It felt like one of those days where every time you opened your phone, there was another headline, another twist, another arrest. It started with that breaking news alert. Terry Rozier, former Celtic, taken into custody. Then it was Chauncey Billups, the current Trail Blazers coach, and then Damon Jones. Three major names tied up in an investigation that reads more like a Hollywood script than a real-life NBA story. The details are wild. According to the reports and the federal indictments, the cases are split into two main branches, one connected to illegal sports betting and another involving high stakes, rigged poker games with underground connections that sound straight out of an organized crime movie. It's the kind of thing that makes you pause and realize just how deep some of these off-court issues can go. The reports mention code names, secret meetings, and even high-tech cheating, contact lenses that could supposedly read cards during those poker games. You hear that, and you think there's no way this is real. But the documents are out there, and the FBI doesn't mess around with this kind of thing. The part that really got everyone's attention was the suggestion that Chauncey Billups might have shared inside information about Portland's plans late last season, including sitting key players like Damian Lillard during that tank stretch. If true, that's not just a violation of league rules. That's potentially criminal. Sharing info like that with someone connected to illegal betting operations crosses every possible line. It's a nightmare scenario for the NBA, especially at a time when the league has leaned so heavily into its relationship with legalized betting in recent years. It raises questions that go far beyond one coach or one player. How does the league protect its integrity when so much money is flowing in through betting platforms? How do they draw the line between casual involvement and something more dangerous? And if someone like Billups, a respected veteran, a finals MVP, a coach, could get caught in this web, who else might be connected without even realizing it? The truth is, this feels like the beginning of something that's going to unravel more before it's over. You can almost feel the tension from the league office. Adam Silver, who's usually so composed, is in a spot where he has to make real decisions, not just issue a statement. The NBA's credibility is on the line here, and the way they handle this could define his legacy as commissioner. What's strange is how surreal it all feels for the players and coaches who have nothing to do with it. You got teams like Boston, New York, Oklahoma City, all focused on basketball, try to build chemistry, while these headlines pull everyone's attention in another direction. You can bet there's going to be talk in every locker room, every film session, every pregame warm-up, whispers about who knew what, who might be next, what this all means. It's a distraction nobody wants, but it's one the league can't avoid. And for fans, it's hard not to feel a little shaken. You grow up believing in the purity of the game, that wins and losses are decided on the court, not behind closed doors with secret deals and rig systems. But let's bring it back to basketball for a second, because that's what this night is supposed to be about. Around the league, the early season games have been insane. Oklahoma City, fresh off a title, went back-to-back in double overtime games. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander already dropped 55 points. The guy just keeps finding new ways to dominate without even breaking his calm. And then Aaron Gordon matched him with a 50-piece of his own against Denver, proving the NBA season never takes a breath. Steph Curry, as if he needed more fuel for his legacy, just went off again. 6 for 12 from deep, 42 points, flawless at the line, and leading the Warriors to another comeback win. You watch that and realize why this league stays magnetic no matter what chaos happens off the court. The talent right now is ridiculous. The Celtics know they're part of that story too. They may not have started perfectly, but the foundation is there. When they defend, they look elite. When the offense flows through quick passes and movement instead of isolation, they look unstoppable. The issue is consistency. Keeping that edge for 4 quarters, not just flashes. You can see Joe Mazzulla trying to figure out how to balance structure with pace. He wants them playing fast, but not out of control. He wants spacing, but not at the expense of defense. It's a tough balance, especially when new players are still finding their rhythm. Jaylen Brown's leadership is becoming more important than ever. You can tell he's trying to set the tone early, attacking the rim, communicating more, pushing teammates to stay locked in. He's embracing that veteran presence the team lost when Smart and Horford's roles changed. Derek White's doing the same, stepping up as a vocal leader, especially on defense. The locker room feels different now, a little less chaotic, a little more focused, but also more fragile. The potential is massive, but so is the margin for error. But before we continue, please remember to subscribe to the channel and give the video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest news about the Boston Celtics. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments as well. In what could be the most shocking move of the NBA offseason, whispers from inside the league are suggesting that Nikola Jokic, the beloved face of the Denver Nuggets, has stunned fans and insiders alike by agreeing to join the Boston Celtics. Sources close to the situation, who asked to remain anonymous, hint that negotiations have been moving behind closed doors for weeks, and the deal is reportedly all but finalized. Denver fans are reeling. Jokic, who has been synonymous with loyalty and excellence, leading the Nuggets to countless victories and even a championship run, now seems set to trade the Rocky Mountains for the green of Boston. The basketball world is buzzing with speculation about what could have prompted such a drastic change. Could it be the lure of another championship window, a tension-filled locker room, or simply a desire for a new challenge in the storied franchise of the Celtics? Analysts are scratching their heads, as Jokic has long been celebrated not just for his transcendent skills, but for his devotion to Denver, a city that embraced him as its basketball royalty. Insiders hint that Boston has been quietly assembling a package to match Jokic's stature, sparing no expense to lure one of the league's most versatile and intelligent big men. If the deal goes through, the Celtics would instantly skyrocket into the title conversation, pairing Jokic with a roster already rich in talent and championship pedigree. The thought of the Nuggets without their MVP-caliber star has left fans in disbelief, sparking heated debates on social media and late-night sports shows about loyalty, legacy, and the brutal business side of professional basketball. While Denver remains in shock, Boston is rumored to be hosting a private celebration for their potential new superstar. If Jokic truly dons green, it would not only rewrite the NBA map, but send a message to the league. No city, no matter how loyal the fan base, is safe from the winds of change. As rumors swirl and insiders hint at contract details, one thing is clear. This offseason could go down as one of the most dramatic in NBA history. The basketball world holds its breath, wondering if betrayal, opportunity, or destiny is driving Nikola Jokic to Boston. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Boston Celtics, please subscribe to our channel and give the video a like. We always appreciate your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.